All right, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? How's it going? I am Is There No One Else? I'm here today bringing you the 3.2.2 patch notes. I was going to post the 3.2.1 patch notes, but not a whole lot of it pertained to PvP. They posted right in the top that the next one were going to be PvP balance changes, so we're going to go through these. If you guys watched ESO Live, I can provide a link in the description to that. They talked about it last Friday. These aren't all of the changes that they're coming out with. So keep in mind, this is PTS. They're subject to change. They're just testing this out to see how it works. They want to get feedback. These are not set in stone. This is just what they are for the PTS. What they also said on ESO Live is, like I said, these aren't all of them. They only wanted to bring out a few so they could get feedback on those specific things. They didn't want to rush a bunch of different changes all at the same time, and then all of a sudden, people are trying to provide feedback for 20 different changes instead of 10 different changes. So keep all of that in mind when we're going through this. I've already seen or heard of a couple of them, but I don't know what all of them are. I have my thoughts in general, but here we go. Combat and gameplay. The Befouled Champion passive is not currently functioning, but will be fixed in a future PTS patch. Okay. Battlegrounds. Crazy King will now have additional flag spawn in when there's 10 minutes and 5 minutes remaining. Cool. Combat and gameplay. Warden balance. Animal companions. Feral guarding. Activating the Guardian's Wrath or Guardian Savagery's special ability from this ability and its morphs will now grant your bear snare, immobilization, and crowd control immunity for 8 seconds. Cool. Okay, so when I first made my warden, I was dueling with it. I really enjoyed the bear. However, the people I was dueling with, when we were testing stuff out, they found that the easy way to take care of the bear is just to snare it in place. And you lock it in place, and then it just doesn't do anything. So the entire fight, if you have, some sort of snare or immobilization, like, if you lock it in Malefic Wraith, or if you lock it in Fossilized, it's stuck there. It can't break out. So this is kind of a cool little thing. This is a good adjustment. However, the bear is just not very smart in general in PvP. Like, it goes off to attack whoever you want. They need to make it better to where it attacks what you're attacking more often to make this useful. Like, this is a really cool ultimate. It hits really hard when it works. Like, it works out okay in duels, but in open world, it's just not worth having right now. Green Balance, Lotus Flower. This ability and its morphs will now restore health on partially charged heavy attacks equal to the amount restored on light attacks. Secluded Grove. This is the Warden ultimate. This is the biggest change for Warden. Reduce the healing over time done by this ability and its morphs by approximately 33%. We like that Saluted Grove is a cheap ultimate that Wardens can use frequently for dangerous moments, but the amount of healing it was doing was too high for that low of a cost. Now, I completely agree with this. Wardens have some of the best ultimate regeneration in the game. This ultimate is very cheap, and because of that, they were able to pop this Saluted Grove all the time. And so, if you're fighting a tanky Warden, and they have a Secluded Grove literally going off every 5 to 10 seconds, it became very hard to kill them. And, that's not good counter gameplay. Basically when this is up, like, you basically can't kill that person in that ultimate if it's like a 1-on-1 or a 2-on-1 or whatever. It's very hard to kill that person. So reducing this, keeping it cheap, allowing them to have this burst ultimate is still good. How much of a reduction this is will remain to be seen, but this is definitely a change that they needed to make, either in increasing the ultimate cost or reducing what it did. Warden bugs and fixes. Animal companions. Betty Netch. The beam cast by the Netch summoned from this ability and its morphs will now be hidden if your character is sneaking or invisible. Okay. Art and animation. Combat and gameplay. Okay. Dungeons and group content. We don't care about that yet. Housing. We don't care about that yet. UI. Exploration and itemization. Combat balance. Dragonite. Petrify. Reduce the range of this ability and its morphs to 8 meters from 15 meters. Okay. This change helps further differentiate the Petrify and Stone Fist abilities and makes it more risky for the Dragonite to apply Petrify's instant unavoidable crowd control on an enemy. Okay, so they adjusted Petrify. It's no longer, forget what the name of it is, but it's now an automatic stun all the time. It's a 2-second stun. And so they wanted to only apply to melee range. So for a Magic a DK, if you're using this, you have to be within 8 meters to pull this off. So it's not, this is the counter to it being able to just be able to CC anybody. Like, you have to be in range in order to pull this off. So until I get on it and on a Dragon Knight and really test it out, I can't really say if this is a great change or a bad change. Stun's obviously good. Reduced range, I don't know. I really don't know if 8 to 15 meters really matter a whole lot. I guess we'll have to see. Nightblade, Assassination, Executioner. This passive ability no longer requires you to get the killing blow with an assassination ability to trigger its resource return. It now has a 2-second grace period after damaging the enemy with an assassination ability where it can still trigger the proc. It also now restores either magic or stamina, whichever you have a higher maximum of, and restores that resource instantly instead of over 6 seconds. This passive ability would be more useful for tanks who weren't able to get killing blows, and stamina Nightblades who can now get stamina. It also makes the proc more reliable in a multiplayer situation where multiple players attacking the enemy. So now if you're a Nightblade XP1ing somebody, you can now get this resource return as long as you provide a killing blow within 2 seconds. So Grim Focus. The Assassin's Will and Assassin's Scourge procs from this ability and its morphs no longer have a 100 millisecond cast time, but the speed of the projectile has been reduced by approximately 10%. Okay. Okay, so maybe it's providing a little bit more counterplay. It's really hard to dodge Assassin's Will and Assassin's Scourge, so maybe reducing this a little bit allows you to dodge roll or block or whatever because you see it coming. So more counterplay is a good thing. Siphoning, Healthy Offering. Okay, this is... I'll read through it, but I still don't get why they're doing this. Healthy Offering, Malevolent Offering. This morph now grants minor mending for the duration of the healing over time. The new morph effect tooltip has not yet been updated to match this new functionality. Malevolent Offering. This ability and its morphs now have an upfront heal cost instead of costing health over time, reducing the healing over time duration to 8 seconds from 10 seconds. Changing Malevolent Offering to have an upfront health cost preserves the risk-reward gameplay while granting the Nightblade more control over when the risk is taken. With the old implementation, it was very difficult to know when burst damage would occur, putting the caster in an awkward position where they had low health and multiple agony abilities ticking. It's also better for newer players to use as the ability can no longer kill you. This is like the new... What they're trying to do is they want to put a healing line for Nightblades. What they said is Wardens have they have a very divided tree, like class lines. So when you see a Warden, you see that they have companions, and you see they have nature, and you see they have, frost abilities. And so they want to develop that exact same thought process for all their characters. And so there's going to be a healing mage, a blood mage healing line. And this is part of that. So you're sacrificing your own health to heal other people. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work out in PvP. Like, this is just so completely different from anything else that they have. I really can't... Until I get my hands on it and test on it, I can't really comment because I don't know how it works. I don't know, I'm just going to have to see. It's very different. Templar, Dawn's Wrath, Unstable Core. This is the one that does damage. Increase the area of effect damage as morph deals when the ability ends by approximately 50%. That's a pretty nice change. Unstable Core is a pretty good skill. Armor. These are the big changes. I think a lot of you guys are going to be doing fist pumping in the air. Light Armor Annulment, so Harness and Dampen Magicka. Casting this ability in its morphs now requires that you wear 5 pieces of Light Armor. Medium Armor, Evasion, Shuffle. Casting this ability and its morphs now requires that you wear 5 pieces of Medium Armor. Heavy Armor, Immovable. Casting this ability and its morphs now requires that you wear 5 pieces of Heavy Armor. We also increase the duration of this ability to 20 seconds from 13.5 at rank 4. I was actually talking to somebody about this last night. They were saying that Immovable does seem like a good skill, but it just doesn't last long enough. Yeah, Immovable just sucks in general compared to these other two. So we wanted to make sure each armor type feels more distinct from each other, and that you have a more impactful decision when selecting light, medium, or heavy. Movable's duration was increased duration to help it feel different from the other abilities that provided major resolve and ward, and make it worth the button press for tanks who wish to spend stamina in this way. I like these changes. I like them quite a bit. I think it makes sense that, you know, if you're going to use a class like an armor skill, you need to have 5 pieces equipped. I like that route that they're going. However, my only complaint with this specific thing is there is no, not off the top of my head, there's no skill available in the Fighters Guild line, in the Undaunted skill line, anything like that, that removes snares. And, you know, I'm not even wearing Shuffle on my Stam DK, so I really don't need to hear people tell me I need to get good. You don't need Shuffle on a heavy armor build. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I don't care about the dodge chance. What I really like is the snare immunity. And even in heavy armor, that 2-second snare immunity is very, very nice on a few builds. There's just way too many things in this game that snare. And so Fear snares, Shrouded Daggers snares, Rending Slashes snares, Lotus Fan snares. You know, if you get hit with Fossilized and you're then rooted. If you land on a mine, you are rooted. If you get hit in Talons, you are rooted. You know, there's all these things that just lock you in place, and they just fuck you. And I'm not saying that the dodge chance should exist on a heavy armor build. I don't like the dodge chance in general. I don't think anybody should have 20% dodge chance. But I feel like every class should have access to temporary snare immunity, you know, because it's just not very fun. Now, there are counters, like my Stamina DK, I'll keep the exact same. I'm not going to wear Shuffle. My Stamina Templar, I'll probably just use, I mean, I can just use Purify to remove the snares. That won't be a big deal. My Stam Sork, I have Streak. I can use, you know, I can dodge roll, I can streak, I have my movement speed. I can get away from the snares. So maybe building in a little bit more recovery there will still be okay. Like, that one will be fine. Wardens have built-in snare reduction, which is nice. And then as a Nightblade, I'll probably, like, if they keep it as is, I'll probably just switch to Shadow Image. And I'll be able to bounce around. Like, if I get snared in place, I'll have a Shadow Image down. I'll be able to go back to my Shadow Image and get out. There are definitely adjustments. That's not what I'm trying to say. All I'm saying is, you know, it would be nice if they had a skill that was available to everybody that removes snares for 2 to 5 seconds, you know? So that's my one complaint about this. But other than that, keep it all. I like these changes quite a bit. So champion system, the Tower. Siphoner. This champion passive now reduces the enemy's health, magic, and stamina recovery by 25% at 100 points, up from 15%. Siphoner will now be a better counter against builds that are able to live for an extremely long time through healing and resource restore. This is a pretty good adjustment, especially for like my Magicka Templar healing build. Combat fixes and improvements. Fix an issue where weapon enchantments would not proc against a target that blocked the attack. Okay. Sorcerer, Daedric Summoning. Summon and charge Atronach. The Atronach summoned by this morph will now use one large point-blank area of effect attack instead of 5 small circular damage zones around it. This should improve the reliability of hitting targets with that attack. Okay, cool. Item sets, Concentrated Force, Asylum Destro Staff. This item set's proc now causes every second Force Shock you cast to always apply the Burning, Concussion, and Chilled status effects. The bonus visual effect on Force Shock will now only display when this proc occurs instead of on every cast of Force Shock. Note, the non-perfect version of this item set causes every third Force Shock you cast to proc the elemental status effect instead. This change still maintains the design of empowering some of your Force Shock casts, but it prevents you from being able to instantly start any fight by applying those powerful elemental status effects on an enemy. This definitely needed an adjustment. The Destro Staff was way too good. If every 4 seconds when you hit a Crushing Shock, you could apply all 3 of these status effects. They're probably going to keep this one as is because, you know, this is the medium ground where, you know, if you get the perfected version, every 2 Force Shocks, Crushing Shocks, or Force Pulses, you'll get this, which is very powerful. Like it'll be very useful on a Sork. You proc a frag, you hit with 2 quick crushing shocks. You proc this, you do 8% more damage. Because of the concussion status effect, they now have a burning dot on them. It's just a lot more pressure. You can synchronize it very well with your burst combos. When all of a sudden you have an ultimate, you wait until this happens. You time your ultimates with your other classes. Two is a little bit clunky, but it still makes it useful. 3, honestly, I don't. In a PvP situation, I don't think I will run this if I have the non-perfect staff. I just think 3 crushing shocks is just a little bit too much. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's still too beneficial of a weapon to where you still have this. But yeah, that's just my thoughts off the top of my head. But this definitely needed to be adjusted from its original. Item sets. Engine Guardian. The beam cast by the Dwemer Sphere summoned from this item set will now be hidden if your character is sneaking or invisible. Unfathomable Darkness. Fix an issue where this item set's proc would interrupt any ability, cast, or actions you were doing. Huh. Okay. Art and animation, crafting and economy, alchemy, exploration, itemization, housing, quests and zones, UI. Okay, so that's the end, guys. In general, these are pretty good changes. Like I said, these aren't all of them. They said that they have more. Hopefully, they have more PvP-related changes, not just balance changes. But these are all pretty good. They didn't. Okay, so I guess we'll have to see what goes up next week. I will post a video if it has relevant stuff, and we'll talk about it then. But let me know in the comment section what you guys think. In general, I think these are good adjustments. I think they took steps in the right direction, and now they just need to be tested and worked on a little bit. I do think that there is room in either the Undaunted or Fighters Guild skill lines where you can throw in something that gives you snare immunity. Or you can just, I know this is going to sound crazy, but you can just get rid of all the snares in the game, and everybody in PvP will be so happy. We don't need Stampede, Shrouded Daggers, Fear, Lotus Fan. We don't need all these snares in the game. Poisons can snare you. We just don't need it. It's not fun to be locked in place and then just have 10 people beat on you because they have a tank that's just snaring you nonstop. That's not fun gameplay. So these are good changes. They need to go a little bit farther there, in my opinion. Obviously, these aren't the end game stuff, so hopefully we can, get that information to them. So, thank you guys for watching. Have a nice day.